Hello everyone, and welcome to the modding video for Resident Evil 2 Remake. Let me get my notes open in my folder. In this video we will be setting up mods for Resident Evil 2 Remake. Any links that are covered in this video will be in the description of the video. So I got my folder over here that will delve into various things. Some things here you won't have because you haven't maybe created them yet, and other things you will have that I don't, and that's because I've hidden all the other files in the folder that are just distracting files to what we're going to talk about in the video. So if I'm not going to edit them, talk about them, then I just hide them so we can just focus on what we do need to deal with. So mods explanation. Let's start with this. I'm not going to show or recommend a lot of skins or any naked mods. There are plenty to choose from on nexusmods.com, so have your pick. Since the making of this video, a lot of mods have just been outright removed from nexusmods.com for Resident Evil 2 Remake. This includes skins and some fixes I wish I still had access to. The RTX update broke a lot of mods, this is known. I also received a small update even since then, so that may have broken other mods further, possibly leading to modders not wanting to go back and fix them, and just removing the mods themselves. Also, probably a lot of the mods were stolen and uploaded to nexusmods.com without permission. That happens more than you think. Maybe modders are boycotting nexusmods.com, I don't know. All I know is a lot of mods I had are just not there anymore. So I have a lot less modding options than I did coming back to RE2 Remake, now to record it for my YouTube channel. It sucks, but I don't want to mess with mods that are not available anymore because they have no support, could glitch the game, and you guys won't be able to download them either. Now we'll get to the fixes and mods. Please run your game at least once and set up the game's options. Now we'll get into the actual mods that I will be using. So the first one here is called RE Resident Evil Framework, and as of this video I'm using version 1.5.2, which is the latest. If you're watching this, years down the line from here and there's newer versions available, then use those. This is just the current version that's out at the time of making the video. I'm listing a direct link here. This takes you directly to the mod creator's GitHub page to get the mod. I will put this link in this description of this video. It's just there for me to reference. So this program gives you control over a bunch of useful features. We'll get into what it does towards the end of this section. It is controlled in a simple GUI within the game, excuse me. The insert key opens and closes the GUI of RE Framework. You can change this keybind, and I'll show you later. You'll need to pick an RTX or non-RTX version of this program. You can find this program on nexusmods.com, but it may not be the most up-to-date. I recommend getting this program directly from the creator's site for that reason. This program will be used for future Resident Evil games too. Let's take a look at the site, and I will show you how to download it and install it. And since I'm using handy-dandy Notepad++, links you put into here become clickable, so if I double click the link, it'll just open up my browser and take me right to it. This is a really nice program. I use this instead of just normal Notepad because I hate the blinding white background of Windows Notepad. So this allows you to make the background black, and it gives you a lot of other better options and abilities than regular Notepad. It's free. Just search Notepad++ on Google and you'll be taken to the website to get it. So I highly recommend it. So let's take a look at RE Framework's site. I'm just going to open it up here. So this is the main page that you'll be taken to from the link I'll provide and the one I just opened. It looks complicated and like you don't know what to do or where to go or whatever, but I'm going to explain it to you here. So what you want to do, and what I would recommend, is scroll down to here. This is like the README file. I would recommend you read through all of this right here so that you understand what this program does and doesn't do, and what it works for and doesn't work for. As you can see right here, these are the supported games. It's listing all Capcom games. RE2 Remake, RE3 Remake, RE4 Remake, Resident Evil 7, Resident Evil Village, or Resident Evil 8, Devil May Cry 5, Street Fighter 6, and Monster Hunter Rise. So yeah, please look at this information. I'm going to go over it a little bit here, but I'm not going to read all this to you. Take the time to read that yourself and familiarize yourself with this program and its functions. There's also a wiki section here. You can click this and it will give you a couple of links here. These will take you to very detailed descriptive pages. Probably, I think there's sections in there that tells you or teaches you, informs you on how to make or utilize plugins for RE Framework if you wanted to go down that path. So check that out also. So the main thing you want to do here is scroll a little further on the main page and you'll see this release. This is the important area here. Click on release and it will take you to a releases page. And the one at the top is the most current, which is still 1.5.2. And it says latest. And I'll read this because it's relevant. If you're not using the recent ray tracing updates for RE2, RE3, RE7, download the file that has TDB in it, the words TDB. I don't know what that stands for. If any of you in the know, let me know in the comments. I'm just curious, out of curiosity, what TDB means. Otherwise, just download RE7, for example, if you're using the RTX ray tracing update for RE7. You would just get the one that says re7.zip. And if you don't want to use VR functions or don't have VR, only extract the dinput8.dll into your game folder. Do not extract the other files or your game may crash. This is extremely important. And you need to do what it says. If you, once you've determined whether you want the non-ray tracing version, the TDB version, or the ray tracing version, just the normal, then you need to determine VR or no VR. And if you don't want VR, only use this file. Don't take anything else out of the zip. It will generate, the first time the game's ran with RE Framework, it will generate the other necessary files. If you do have VR, then as it states, or has, you'll need to leave extra files that'll be in there. This just shows you what's changed since this update, who's contributing. Here's more documentation links for it. You can donate. It does have a newer build section. These are what they call nightly builds. It's kind of a funny term, but it's like any night, of the week. The developer could sneak in a ninja update, and it's not like 100% fully tested, but it's a new feature and it's implemented and it's probably okay and works, so. This is the latest version of the nightly build, version 1.601 dash, but I don't recommend to use that for this case. Just use the stable build, but you can if you like. And if you scroll further down here, this is where you get to the actual zips. And, if you play all the Resident Evil games, just download all of them. RE2 through RE8, download all of these, the ray tracing and the non-ray tracing. And you'll get the 1.5.2 version of all of those. They're not large. They're all under 5 megs each, the zip files. But our concern for this video is the Resident Evil 2 ones, so The re2.zip is if you're using the ray tracing version of the game, and the DDB66 version is the one for non-ray tracing update. So pick your version and download it, and you'll have it. All right, so we did that. Okay, now let me show you how to install it. So I made this folder. This is one you won't have, called Mods YouTube Video. It's just for me to house some files that I want to show you. So we'll go into the file here. RE Framework version 1.5.2. It's probably not named, the zip is probably named something else when you get it. I renamed it. But open that up, and this is what you'll be presented with. I'm going to go back to my main folder. You'll have an RE Framework folder with an auto run folder and all this other stuff in it. And then you'll have the D-input 8 DLL. You'll have these other two DLL files. So this is just like the change log. No, it isn't. It's a hash, what do they call those? A hash, not a hashtag, but like a hash mark for a program. Oops. So that's not important, and this just is stating, you know, if you're not using, delete these two files if you're not using VR. So no VR, which is going to be most people's situation. All you need to do is take this and drag it in here next to your re2.exe, and you can see my version here. You do not need to drag this folder over into here, even though it's there. This you don't need. It's got all this stuff in it. You only need that one DLL file. You need these three DLL files and the RE framework folder if you're using VR. But if not, just this one file. When you run the game the first time and you exit the game, it will create this folder for you. So don't take this one in there. Let the program generate it for you. And that's it. You've installed it. That's all you got to do to install it. Okay. So once you have installed RE Framework, please run RE2 Remake so that RE Framework can generate some files, meaning this RE Framework folder and what's in it. Then you will need to exit the game. Don't mess with or configure anything in the RE Frameworks menu just yet that you'll see pop up in the game. You will now have an RE Framework folder in your RE2 Remake folder. Inside that folder, you will have a plugins folder. So we'll open it. Here you go. If you don't see this folder, you installed RE Framework incorrectly, or you didn't run the game with RE Framework at least once. So make sure that when you look in here, you see this. You should have an auto run folder that has nothing, which is fine. A data folder which has nothing yet. You will have this. That should be empty, or you just may not have a data folder. The plugins folder, you won't have anything yet either. This won't be there. But you want these folders to be in here. It should all be fine. It's not super complicated. I'm just letting you know how it needs to be. Otherwise, I can't help you if it doesn't mirror what I'm showing you. So keep your plugins folder open, which we will for the moment. We're going to break away into another mod here, but it's related. And we'll come back to what we were just doing here. So the next thing is an RE Framework, the Tedder plugin. It's a little RE fix mod. And it's a plugin for RE Framework. And its version is 0.5.1-beta.1, and it's designed to work with RE Framework version 1.5.2. Same deal, direct link here I will provide in the description of the video. This plugin gives RE Framework some extra options to adjust. This plugin has to be configured outside of the game, you'll need to pick RTX or non-RTX versions of the plugin as well, just like we did for the base RE framework. Let's take a look at the site and I will show you how to download it and install it. So I'm actually going to leave this open for yourself, but I'm going to back out. And the same thing, I'm going to double click my link here, which is very handy, and it's going to take us to another GitHub site. So this is not made by Praydog. I'm actually curious if there's a picture of him. If you click on his name, what does it show? No, it just shows a creepy little image. Okay. This shows some other stuff he does. You know, as you can see, he's pretty active in the RE community. But this RE Fix plugin is not made by Praydog. It's made by a guy that goes by the name The Tedder. But if you look at him, you can see who he is. And he's Ted Woolman, and he just goes by The Tedder. And these are some other things he's made. Live Split, I guess, for streaming and speedrunning. Heave-Ho Auto Splitter. An unintrusive graphical overlay library for Windows. You know, some good stuff. Most stuff you find on GitHub is made by people that generally know what they're talking about and what they're doing. So, thank you, Mr. Ted Woolman, for making the Tedder RE Fix, for what it provides us RE players to use. It's much appreciated. So this is the main screen, and just like the main RE framework, I would recommend you scroll down here and read a little bit and learn what this does. We're going to cover what it does, but please read what the developer wrote, because he is going to explain it better than me. And you can at least use it as confirmation that I hopefully told you the right way to do things. And if I didn't, then I apologize and would advise you to follow the author of any of these mods recommendations, unless I state clearly otherwise. So here we go. That's the information. Go down to releases. Here's the one you want, 0.5.1-beta.1 for RE Framework 1.5.2. It's a pre-release. It's still in beta. It says it supports RE Framework version 1.5.2 and has been added. This will be the default version going forward. Those requiring compatibility with older RE Framework versions will need to use an old version of this project or build it from source. That's the thing too, is most of these people, like the RE Framework, this one, they provide you the source code a lot of times too if you want it. But that's not what you need for our purposes. So in here you need to click the assets, and that will expand. And then he has, just like the other, just like RE Framework, he has a normal labeled RE2 version for the RTX supported version, and then he has one labeled DDB66, which is the non-RX, RTX version, non-ray tracing. And this is compatible with, I believe he did say that it works with both DirectX 11. See, this mod works on both the current patches and the DX11 non-ray traced versions of download, right. We work with other games with the same engine. So this is not, let's look at, just so I can confirm, look at RE Framework. I think this is built for DirectX 11 and 12 for sure. Yeah, supports both DirectX 11 and 12 for the base RE Framework, but it looks like the Tedder's RE Fix is only supporting DirectX 11 non-ray traced versions. for RE2 Remake and RE3 Remake only. It may work on other games in the same engine, but this has not been tested. So this is not a full release of this. So there you go. Make sure, I guess, you're using the DirectX 11 only option, and it has to be the non-ray traced version of Resident Evil 2 Remake. Okay. So this is not available for Resident Evil 7, or just Resident Evil 2 Remake and Resident Evil 3 Remake. So for my purposes of using the non-RTX patched version of the game, I downloaded the RE2_TDB66 version of the game. And we will close out of this. So get back to where I was here. Okay, so to install this, look at my mod folder. Here it is. Maybe it's going to be called something else, but this is the same thing. Open it up, and we'll go back to our main folder. So this is all that is in here, is a single refix.dll. And all you need to do to install this is, once you've run RE Framework the first time, and it has generated a plugins folder, you go into plugins, and that's where you put this file. And that's it. That's how you install it. Okay. Once you have installed the plugin, please run RE2 Remake so that the plugin can generate some files. Then you will need to exit the game. Don't mess with or configure anything in the RE Frameworks menu just yet. Okay, you got to do the same thing as you did for the base RE Framework game. So get that file in the plugins folder, run your game, and then exit the game. With all that set up, we're now ready to configure and use RE Framework. I'll show you how to configure the plugin first because it's the simplest thing to do. So now go back into your RE Framework, and if you go into the data folder, you're going to see an RE fix config file. Open this up. And this is what you'll be presented with. By default, everything in the file is going to be set to true or on. The other option being false if you don't want to use it, but everything is enabled by default, and I'll go through what these are. Disable input switch scaling. Something about the movement not being as smooth or as fluid when you look up and down, I think, vertically. So this disables that feature, so it will make movement smoother, essentially. Camera movement. Remove input dampening. Not entirely sure what this is. Maybe something to do with input. It says input, but you know, controls. And then scale input with FOV. This is to do with, you know, field of view. Remove dynamic difficulty. Now this is a big one. This is not normally an option that you can adjust in these games. I mean, it isn't by default. But you can adjust this. And what the dynamic difficulty is since the original Resident Evil 4, Capcoms have been using a dynamic difficulty. And it basically means, you should search on Google to get a better description of what this is, but basically what it is the worse you play, the easier the game gets, and the better you play, the harder the game gets, regardless of the starting difficulty that you choose. It ramps up, and there's levels or degrees. Like it may start, say, at level 1 and can go to level 8 at its highest. So there's a level that it can't go past as far as difficulty. But it's not extremely fair to the player, because if you're playing well because you're good at the game or you know what you're doing, you shouldn't be penalized by that in turn making your ammo do less damage or making enemies have more health that spawn, simply because you're playing better. You're not taking damage yourself, and you're landing headshots and all that. It's not extremely fair that the game makes it difficult on you because of that. You could say, on the other hand, that if you're screwing up a lot, meaning you shoot your gun and you don't hit an enemy at all, that's going to make the game easier on you. Give enemies less health. I think it actually makes enemies move slower the lower the game dynamic difficulty gets. So less animations on the zombies, meaning easier to hit the target, things like that. So it's more beneficial to people that really suck at the game, I guess. But if you're, decent or good at the game, it's not a good thing. So it's debatable what people would say or think about it. Haze me in the comments if you want, but I really don't care. I'm going to be using this simply because I want to try it out. I mean, I think I've beat this game, I don't know how many times total, at least 6 times. I've probably beaten Resident Evil 2 Remake. So I don't really care if anybody watching this thinks, it's lame or I suck at the game and that's why I'm doing it. I'm doing it to show it off, to experience it myself and to see how it works and if it works, and just because I think it's more fair. I'm reasonably good at shooters in these games, so I don't want the game to get harder just because I'm playing well. So I'm going to use it. It's up to you if you do not. Don't really, it's your option what you want to do. This is just what I'm choosing to do on this playthrough. So it's there and it's an option. The next thing that's important, more important, well, not more important, but visually it's important, is the fix zombie animations. So this game, and I believe in Resident Evil 3 Remake, it also happens. Not in 7, not in 8, and definitely not in Resident Evil 4 Remake. But probably 2, definitely 2, and probably 3. We'll see when we get to 3. But what Capcom did is when you get a certain distance away from zombies, whether they're moving towards you or not, but it's more obvious, I guess. Well, it's not to say it's more obvious when they're not moving, but either way, when they're a certain distance away from you, which is still invisible and noticeable range, they decided to make their animations render or occur at 30 frame rate, 30 FPS instead of 60, which most people will be playing the game at, which looks terrible and is noticeable. And the reason they did it is not because they're bad developers or programmers, but they were trying to do it as a way to save on some performance for people with not high-end cards at the time. People that are playing Resident Evil 2 Remake now, they're going to have better PCs and graphics cards than when they first played the game or when it came out in 2019. That just stands to reason that that would be true. But Capcom did it at the time, and of course, they were developing this, probably 2 or 3 years prior to that. So that's the reason they did it, not to make the game look worse or to piss us off when we played it, but to try to help people with even lower end systems, get back a little frame rate. But you can fix this, and you could fix this before as well. What you would have to do is you would have to do a hex edit of the Resident Evil 2 .exe executable. And of course, every time Capcom patched the game, the hex edit that you would have to do and the values you would have to use would change to get the zombies to animate at 60 FPS again. And for a while on the main Resident Evil modding forum, modding boards forum, users were keeping it up. There is a user that goes by the name Fullbuster, I think, with some numbers at the end, I forget. Fullbuster with a Ada Wong profile picture. She was keeping that up for everybody in the community, letting us know what the appropriate hex edit area we needed to change, where it was, because it's crazy. I suggest you look at it. There's a free hex editor you can get online, and you just open an exe with it, and you can see all the crazy hex edit code. It's pretty interesting. Of course, if you just randomly change stuff in it, you're going to probably break your game. But for those smarter than me and most of us out there, they were able to determine which part of the executable controlled how the zombies animated at a distance, and they knew the number alpha letters and numerical numbers to change to make this get fixed. But now you don't have to do that, because this the Tether RE fix will do this automatically for you. And I've tested. I don't know so much about the dynamic difficulty. I'm assuming it's working and everything else, but I can confirm that the zombie 30 frames per second fix works in Resident Evil 2 Remake as of making this video. So this is your controls for the RE Fix plugin. You can see that this plugin is active within RE Framework within the game, but you can't change anything. You have to change it from here. And so if you don't want any of these things on, just change the trues to falses to false, and you will turn it off. But I am using everything on true. So yeah. Be interesting to see how this dynamic difficulty. A lot of people, I think, still don't know about this. But like I said, from the original RE4 onward, Capcom's been using this. So I don't really like it, you know. I don't like the idea behind it. I kind of understand the idea behind it, but it would be nice if you could turn it off, you know, within the game, but you can't. Okay, so that's all you have to do for that. All right, let me catch up here where I am. Yeah, okay, so we did that. So now that we have the plugin sorted, meaning the main RE Framework and the Tether RE Fix plugin, I'll show you what the main RE Framework does and how to use it. I've already done all of the steps above and configured my RE Framework and everything. So I'll make a quick edit cut here and see you in the game for the explanation. Hello everyone, welcome to the in-game portion where we're going to talk about how to set up RE Framework. So at the title screen here, if you press your insert key, you'll have this little window pop up here on your left. It will always be this size and in this position when you open it. For the sake of this video, I'm going to make things larger so it's easier to see. If you go under config, you can adjust the size of the font, so I'm going to bump that up to like 20. I'm actually going to stretch this over like so, just so that it's easier to see on the screen. So it tells you up here, if you click this up here, it'll minimize everything, but you'll still have to click X to close it. It tells you the default menu key is insert. This can be changed if you don't want it to be that. Transparency makes the UI transparent when not focused. That's just checked by default. Input pass-through allows mouse and keyboard inputs to register to the game while the UI is focused. I have that unchecked. About just talks about, you know, the website, the author, licenses. So I can expand that too, which there's a bunch of, making this mod do what it does. The configuration where we just were, this is where you can change the insert key to something else. So 45 is just representative of the insert key on the keyboard, but if you click the menu key and press spacebar, then it changes to 32. And possibly whenever you restart the game again, it may say the default key is spacebar. It may not. But I'm going to click it again and put it back on the insert key number 45 because I'm used to it being there. Show cursor key, not bound. It just shows an underlining cursor underneath your actual cursor. It's not totally necessary. And if you want to clear a bound key, click the button and then press escape on the keyboard, and that will unbind everything. So yeah, I don't want to draw the cursor with menu open because it just draws it underneath. So that's what that does with the keybind. It just turns that on or off. It doesn't need to be on. Remember, menu open close state. Leave that checked. That way it won't stay open like when the game automatically starts. The font size doesn't seem to be remembered, so even if you put this to like it is here, 20, and stretch the screen out when you reboot the game, it's going to be back at 16 and be small over here in the corner. So you have to do that every time you start the game, I guess, if you want the window to be bigger and the font to be bigger. Then you have performance, enable profiling. Not sure what that really is needed for. I don't use it, don't need it. VR, this would be if you are using VR, there would be, and you left those files in your install. This would give you some VR control options, but I'm not using VR, so those files are not there to be messed with, so I can't do anything in here. So first person, the mod does have a first person mod built into it. I've messed with it a little bit. It's not the best. It works, but the camera is really jittery just because of the way it's designed to be in third person, but the way that carries over in first person, it's just kind of, it's always kind of bouncing around a little bit. But it is a first person mode that you can mess with, that you can apply a keybind to, and you can adjust all kinds of settings in here for it to fine tune it. But I'm not going to be playing it in first person, so. Camera, make sure to tick enabled for any of the below settings to take effect. Right. So this is one of the main reasons I use this mod, is so that I can disable the vignette, they call it. Let me see if I can, yeah, so you can see it clearly there. If you look at the edges of the screen, when this is vignette on and this is vignette off, so see how it lightens everything up around the edges? It's kind of like looking through a camera lens, you know, that's darkened, you know, in a curvature in all four corners of the screen. And these modern Resident Evil games, I think, all do it. All use vignette. It's really annoying. If you've ever played the game Sekiro, Shadows Die Twice, that game has it. It just overly darkens the game and scenery and the environment when it's not necessary, just for an effect. So this gives you the option to disable that. So just make sure you enable the checkbox and then enable disable vignette, and then that will be removed completely from the game. I just think it looks better without it. It should be an option within the game itself to use it or not, but Capcom doesn't give you that option. Okay, these below settings are separate and do not require enable to be ticked. So this is FOV. You can adjust the field of view. It's really funny if you do it here. So the screen we're looking at, if I click it, it's got this overlay of the sky and everything and the smoke drifting, but the actual screen we were looking at is way over here, really tiny. It's because in this view the FOV is like way too big, you know, because that scene is meant to be close up. So it comes back whenever you uncheck it. Obviously this is meant to affect how your character's FOV looks when you're playing in third person. But I won't be modifying the FOV. Generally, in any third-person game I play, I don't really mess with the FOV, even if I can. I usually leave it alone, because in most cases it's suitable. It's really only first-person games, for the most part, that you really need to always adjust FOV. But you do have an FOV option that you can mess with. This is all under camera, the vignette and the FOV. Then graphics, you have ultra wide resolution FOV settings, hide the GUI, graphical user interface. So if we do that, everything just goes away and all you get is the image, which, you know, would take away everything in the game when you're playing. Obviously we want that on, but you can turn it off if you want to do so. And you can even put a keybind to that. Manual flashlight. There's an option to manually control. By default, the game, most all the Resident Evil games do it now. Yeah, I think they all do. Resident Evil 2 and on. They don't give you a keybind to turn your flashlight on or off. It comes on at appropriate times when the game deems necessary, or when it's putting you in a really dark place. This gives you an option to assign a keybind, which by default 70 represents the F key, F for flashlight. If you click it, change it to something else if you don't want it to be that. But make sure you click enable, and then you can use F to turn it on and off. I won't be using it. I'll just be letting the game control it. And from my experience, especially in this one, this game, when you do manual control in certain areas, when you use it, it messes up the graphics and makes things look weird, because the game is not intending you to have that light source being used in the room you're in. So there is some kind of minor graphical texture, I would say, glitches when using this. So just be aware of that if you do use it. Free cam gives you the ability to basically get in a flying camera mode where you can just move around however you want. You can basically lock your character in position, go into free cam, and just fly around and look at your character from different angles and look in the environment in different angles. You can do all sorts of cool stuff using free cam mode, and you can go off, you know, from where you are, and I think it allows you to clip through walls. It may not, but I think it probably does. So you can go off out of bounds, you know, and things like that, and see things that aren't supposed to be seen in the game. Scene, time scale. I believe these options are for adjusting the brightness, like a day and night cycle kind of thing. The time of day it is in the game. Don't quote me on that, but I'm not going to be using that. Developer tools, when you click this, it takes a minute for it to load in. It opens up all these little subcategories of just developer tool things. Plugin loader, this is where you will see and know that your the Tedder RE-Fix plugin is working, because you'll see it listed here, and any others you might be using. I don't know when it comes to all plugins that are being used with RE Framework. I don't know if any of them are adjustable from within the framework screen like we're in, or if you have to adjust them all like the Tedder's RE-Fix outside in a document file. This is the first time I've used a plugin in RE Framework before. Any of the other times I've used it, RE Framework, I've never had plugins. But you can see that it's there and being registered as loaded and active. Script runner, different things for running scripts, and a script generator UI, which doesn't show anything. This is more developer stuff related. Yeah. But the main benefit, I mean, there's lots of benefits to this, but for me personally, it's the camera setting, so I can get rid of the vignette around the borders. That's my concern. What else? I think mainly that's, and this plugin loader to use this RE-Fix from the Tedder, which We've already discussed previously what that does. I think I discussed what it did. Maybe I didn't. No, I would have. Yeah, when we did the config adjustments in the config file. So I can mention it again. It just, it fixes the zombies at a distance that are standing there moving around, rendering it 30 FPS. It makes them render at 60 FPS, which before this came out, before I found out about this plugin, the way that you would fix that is you had to do a hex edit in the actual executable of Resident Evil 2 Remake and Resident Evil 3 Remake. But each time Capcom updated the game, it broke that, and you'd have to go back in, usually trying to figure out a different set of numbers and letters representing a hex code value, because they would be changed since the game was updated, and you'd have to figure out what to change again to make the zombies animate at 60 frames and hopefully not break anything else. People were doing that for a while and upkeeping that, but then this person came up with the RE fix, and now it's set up automatic, so you don't have to do anything but use it. So it does that, and it also, what's the other thing that it does? Oh, it lets you disable the adaptive difficulty that Resident Evil games use. I believe ever since Resident Evil 4, the original Resident Evil 4, started doing the adaptive difficulty thing, and that's been going on all the way up to the current release that's out now, the newest in the series of Resident Evil 4 Remake. But this plugin lets you disable that, which I am opting to do for this playthrough, just because it's kind of a BS option, I think. It's not really fair to the player that just because you play well, you should be penalized by the game making itself arbitrarily more difficult, regardless of the difficulty you started the game at. It just changes throughout the course of the game. I forget how many levels there are of adaptive difficulty, 5 to 6, maybe 8, that it can go to. There's a limit to how difficult it can get. It won't keep escalating. It'll hit a certain point. But anyways, yeah, RE Framework is awesome. It's usable in all the modern Resident Evils. It can do different things in different ones. I believe, for instance, in this one for RE2 Remake, the manual flashlight is built in, but for like Resident Evil 4 Remake, if you want to do that, you have to use a plugin that you have to get separately. It's not built right in to the RE framework for Resident Evil 4 Remake. So there's variations between the options you get and what they do, but they're available for all the games. So yeah, shout outs to Prey Dog, who's the author of RE Framework, for making it and upkeeping it, keeping it going. So that will pretty much cover, I'll probably show it in game once we're in gameplay, RE Framework settings, so that I could flip to the first person view real quick and show you what the vignette looks like normally without it being disabled. So I will probably go back to that in the game once we do the first gameplay video and stuff, and show you a little more functionality of that. But there's the rundown of the UI of that and how things work and what things do. I hope that helps you out. So we will stop this segment here. Thank you for watching. So I'm going to continue on here, and we're going to get into Fluffy Mod Manager. And as I'm making this video, I'm using version 3.0.16, and I have a direct link for this mod as well. This is the program you will use to load the standard mods into the game. You will also run this program instead of the RE2 Remake.exe. Fluffy Mod Manager will run the game for you. You can find this program on nexusmods.com, but it may not be the most up-to-date, and I don't think it is at the moment. I think I verified that for myself. I recommend getting this program directly from the creator's site for that reason. This program will be used for future Resident Evil games too. Let's take a look at the site and I will show you how to download it and install it. Let me highlight this so I know where I am. So double click. This link will be in the description. Gotta wait for an eternity for it to load for some reason. So this is his little moniker that he uses. It's like I think it's like a sock puppet or something. I guess this is Fluffy. And he likes cake. So this is his main website, fluffyquack.com. And you basically just scroll down a little and you'll see Fluffy Mod Manager 5000, he calls it. And you download it right here. Mod Manager and Mod Downloader and Trainer and more. Yeah, there is kind of a trainer built into it. I've never messed with it though. Fluffy, I keep saying Fluffy. Fluffy Manager 500 lets you manage mods for various titles, such as most Resident Evil titles, Devil May Cry 5, Soul Calibur 6, and more. It also lets you download mini mods made by others and myself. It has an inbuilt trainer for a few games, and it comes with a few other additional features. Yeah. So he makes a few mods, and some mods that he wants to promote or incorporate, he physically integrates their access or download to them within the manager. I'll show you that when we get to that. So you can watch this too, which I would recommend. This says how to install mods for Resident Evil 3, so that's probably what it's using is the game it's showing. But I'm also going to explain and show you how to. And if you scroll further, then you'll see other tools that he makes. Arc tool, this is used for ripping files, extracting files, so that you can modify them and then repack them back into the game's files. An RE tool, what does it do? Extract pack files, okay, the PAK files, Soul Calibur file, or Soul Calibur save tools, Soul Calibur miscellaneous updates. So there's other stuff here. Check it out. You can contact here. What kind of contact? I clicked the link, but it goes nowhere. So anyway, you download that. And I already lost where I was here. Okay, so let's show you how to install that. Fluffy Mod Manager 3.021. Open that one up. This is what you'll be presented with, all these files here. And what I would recommend is create a folder. Just go right click, new folder, and you can also press Control Shift at the same time. So hold Control and Shift together on the left corner of your keyboard. Hold those together and press the button N on your keyboard, and that will also create a new folder really quickly. Call it whatever you want, but I call it Fluffy Mod Manager. And if you go in here, you want to take these and drag them all into this folder that you create. And anything that is not here will be generated the first time you run the software. And it's installed. That's all you got to do. Okay. I'm going to cover how to use Fluffy Mod Manager as well. I want to cover the mods I'm going to be using with it first. So that's how you install it. We'll keep going on this here. So now we'll cover the actual mods I will be using in Fluffy Mod Manager for Resident Evil 2 Remake. And all of these are from the nexusmods.com. I'm going to give you links to all of these and everything in this video's description. They're all tiny url.com links, but they're all going to take you to the Nexus mods. So the first modding category, I guess, is characters. And we'll start with the first character mod, or the first main character in the game, which is Ada, and I will not be using any mods for Ada. There are mods for her, but the ones I would have used are gone, so default Ada it is. Hey, I'd take default Ada any day, and I think most of us would. So there are a few mods I was going to use, but they're not there anymore, so I deleted them, and there's no new ones to get to replace them, so I'm just not going to be able to mod Ada. Next person is Annette, and I'm going to be using a classic mod for her, and it's just a reskin to make her look more like she did in classic Resident Evil 2 from the PlayStation 1 era. In a modern way, it's not going to make her look all pixelated and stuff. It's just a skin outfit color change. I think the hair, her face is the same and all that, but I think the hairstyle might be slightly different. And then Ben, another character in the game, I'm going to use a classic look for him. Same thing, just a reskin to make him look more like he did in classic RE2. And then for Claire, one of the main characters we'll be playing, I'm using a mod called Leather Pants, and I'm calling it Leather Pants Plus because it does more than just give her leather pants, and it does some other things. It's a nice set of reskins for Claire that you can mix and match. My combination is going to be a red jacket, black jeans, black belt, and black shoes. This set requires Leather Pants version 2, the main file, and it also requires the Claire in black jeans add-on file, for example. So you need both of those to get that look. And it's explained and showcased on the modder's site. I recommend that you look at the description tab of every one of these mods, and please read what the developer's written about the mod, because he'll say more than me and give you important information in most cases. But there's screenshots for this Leather Pants mod, and it shows you all the different variations and shows you the names of the files you'll need to download. So I will be modding Claire. The next person is Leon, one of the other main characters we'll be playing. And I won't be using any mods, unfortunately, for him either. There are mods for him, but the ones I would have used are gone, so default Leon it is. I more or less would have just used a similar outfit that I'm going to be using, a default outfit, but a darker toned version of it. But that mod's not available anymore, so. Another character I'm going to be modding is Marvin, and I'm going to be using the same thing for him, a classic skin, just a reskin to make him look more like he did in classic Resident Evil 2. Then Mr. X, who's one of the antagonists in the game. It's just a color reskin for him. So just a color change to give him some extra swag. I hate that word, but I thought it was funny, so I said it. He's got plenty of swag as it is, but and this one's nice. It gives you like 5 or 6 color options, and it doesn't really change physically the way he looks that much. So if you just want a slight different look to him, check that out. And then Robert, another character, I'm going to be giving him a classic look. Same thing, just a reskin to make him look more like he did in classic RE2. None of these are really crazy mods or anything. And then Sherry, another character in the game. This is called Blackout Edition. It gives her a black themed outfit color that I prefer overall, over her original. This is an option to give her black. There is an option to give her black hair as well. I found this to not look very good at certain angles in the game. Her normal blonde hair seems to show through the black. So I'm just keeping her normal hair for that reason. But she'll have the black outfit. So you can pick black outfit and then normal hair or black hair. And that covers the characters. So unfortunately Ada and Leon are not going to be adjusted much at all. Well, they're not going to be adjusted at all. But next category of mods is going to be Other. And this one's got Better Burger. It makes the gross burger in the beginning cutscene even grosser. So And I mean that in a good way. So nothing special, just a funny mod to use. You'll see. And then the next is classic startup screen. It adds the classic warning screen to the game that like the original games had. Just a no frills mod and gone in a second. I still like it though. Next one is color cube edits, non-RTX update only. So just like the Tether RE fix for RE framework, it only works with the non-RTX update too, and so does this. This mod, it removes the green-blue screen filter, making color tones more natural in the game. Please read the mod's description page as the modder explains it best. But I highly recommend this if you're using the non-RTX update for the game. It'll take away the blues and the greens and make it look better. I think it makes it look better. You could achieve this in a roundabout way with like a reshade preset, but this does it more. He is editing and modifying the physical files in the game to get this effect out of there, so it's a better way to handle color adjustments than using a reshade preset. And the next one, which is another important mod here, and luckily it's still working and updated, it's an HD texture pack, and there is a RTX update version and a non-RTX update version. This mod improves 446 textures, increasing them from 1K to 4K quality, anywhere from 1 to 4K, depending on what they are. It works for both RTX update and non-RTX update. Just make sure you download the correct version of the mod, and I'll provide, as you can see here, links to both versions. And it takes time for Fluffy Mod Manager to load the 446 files, so be a little patient for it. Okay, and then the last thing here is a recommended but not using mod, and it's an ultimate trainer that's available on the Nexus. This mod will let you adjust even more things in the game past what RE Framework can do, but it also may not do some things that RE Framework does do. Trainers can be fun to mess with, but very game-breaking, of course. I've not tested this one, so I can't say if it still works, but you know, you might want to check it out because you can do some cool stuff with it. And as I briefly mentioned, the Fluffy Mod Manager does have a trainer built into it as well that I will briefly show you. I'm not going to go into detail on it, but I'll show you where it is in there. So you have two different trainer options that you can mess with if you want to really cheat and manipulate the game, essentially. So, show mod structure. What that is here, I want to show you, we're going to have to go back a few. I want to show you a mod, just a general mod that we would download to use in Fluffy Mod Manager. This one being the classic Annette that I talked about up here. Where is she? There she is. This is the mod from this link, and I didn't retitle it either. I don't think I did. I think I left it alone. That's how it should look when you get it. Get back here to where I was in my note. And let me take a sip of drink, please. These videos are long sometimes, and I'm not a robot. So, okay, so I want to open this up and show you how a mod looks, how the structure of a mod looks. You're generally going to have these three files. That's why I use this one, because it's a good representation of a typical mod structure. For Resident Evil and for mods you're going to be using in Fluffy Mod Manager. I do believe Fluffy Mod Manager can read .zips and .rar files. I don't think that matters. I think it can read all of them. But you're going to be downloading mods that are in a zip or a rar, and you don't need to open them up and take anything out, but I want to explain to you what these are. So most all of them come with a mod info.ini, and if you open that, it has this, and it's like something equals, And if you just take that out of there, that's kind of the default of the file. And then the mod developer writes this stuff in and says it's the classic net Birkin. It's the version 1.2 of the mod. Commission originally made for at LYNNYFM of classic Nettie Burkles for RE2 Remake. Author. So the author of the mod is JTEGHIUS. KITTIUS. He usually just goes by, I think, that name. He's pretty prolific. He makes a lot of skin mods in the game. It's a character mod category. This is so Fluffy Mod Manager can sort it because it uses a category sorting method. And then what it replaces a net. So you can change this information if you don't like what it says. You can change it to be whatever it is. And in my case, it's no attack against the modder or anything, but I usually always delete these modinfo.ini files altogether, just because I don't want it being shown in Fluffy Mod Manager when I'm looking at my mods. I just appropriately name my mod zip or rar files correctly, and that's what I base what I'm looking at on. So with that being said, that's what that does. So if you don't want it, you can just straight up delete it. That's all you got to do. And then I'm not going to open the picture here because I don't want to show you Annette until we get into the game. I want you to see her the first time in that if you don't know what she looks like. But there'll be a screenshot.jpg in here, JPG. I think you can label them whatever you want. So it could be screenshots.jpg or it could be screenshot.png, and I think it will work. But I usually rename everything to screenshot.jpg because that's the standard. I do that just out of OCD, and everything I come into, every mod I'm using, and I fix them, so that they're all the same. But this will give you a picture representation of which you can replace. If you don't like what the modder used to represent the mod in the Fluffy Mod Manager, then you can use your own screenshot. It doesn't matter. Just get something else, call it screenshot.jpg, and drag it in here and replace it. And then you'll have a natives folder because everything in the game's files start off in this natives folder. And then depending on what they mod, they go into other subfolders, which is, there's a lot, and it changes things. So you're going to have a lot of folders and files in here, but you don't need to mess with any of these, and you need all of these. So leave them alone. Just modify the screenshot name and what it looks like, and modify this file if you don't like what it says or want it gone. And that's all you need to do. A lot of modders will create a folder in here and call it like Classic Annette Reimagined, and then they'll put the natives, the screenshot, and the INI file in that. You don't have to do that. You just keep it in the base rar or zip files, all you need to do. And doing that could also make a mod not work correctly either by not using the expected file structure. So that's how everything should look. I just wanted to show that. I'm going to go ahead and delete that because we're done with that now. I wanted you to see what that looked like. And we've covered all of these, so that's all done with. I think we did, didn't we? Yeah, I showed you this. I will show you, let me make sure I'm done with this. Yep, I'm going to delete this and get it out of here. I will show you in Fluffy Mod Manager. Data folder doesn't really matter at all. There's nothing you're going to mess with in here or need to mess with. What's in here? Yeah, you can't open that .pkg file. Anyway, games is important. In games, you'll have RE2 Remake. Backup is where the game basically backs up the files that it is modifying, so that when you uninstall the mods, it puts the backed up files back into the game so that you don't lose anything. It backs up everything. It backs up the original files for you, basically, so don't worry about doing it yourself. I just have mods not using as a folder to separate what I'm not using, because I'm not using everything. Presets doesn't matter. None of this really matters. Mods, this is where it stores all of the mods that I went over here with you, and you can see they are all .rar files, and I've renamed them appropriately. I've separated them by category myself, and then I've titled them to what they fix, and everything, so that they look right whenever I look at them in the game. So that's just information there for you. And Fluffy Mod Manager, Games, RE2 Remake, RE2R, mods, and this is where you need to put the mods that you're downloading from the Nexus. This does not count, though, for RE Framework or the Tedder RE Fix plugin or Fluffy Mod Manager itself. Those do not go in here. These are just your standard mods that go in here. So, and here's the file that you need to run. I'll show that too in Steam. If you watched my Config and Tech video, I showed you this, and you're probably like, why do you have two RE2 remakes? So in the config video I showed you, this is the main RE2 remake game. I showed you how that you could go to properties and you could go to beta and you could put yourself in the non-RTX mode or pick none and put you in the RTX update. So that's why this was here. Now I'm going to remove this from my own list here. And this is the one I would normally use. And that is because I created this one, and I'll show you how to do that too. Go to add a game, and click add a non-Steam game, and then you'll be able to pick something. Like, I'll let it load up here. So pick About Java, just a program. It adds it. I'm not going to go into my uncategorized games because I don't want to spoil other games I might play in the future. But you'll go in this folder here and you'll see About Java or whatever you picked there with no image. That will become this right here. You right click on that, go to Properties, and here's this little sock puppet character avatar for Fluffy Mod Manager. And then I just labeled it what it is. And basically what you can do with the original RE2 game is you can hide it, or you can just leave it in your uncategorized games, but you can also mark it as a hidden game. This will become your main. And then this is where I installed Fluffy Mod Manager. You can see my RE2 directory here, and then where I called it Fluffy Mod Manager, and then modmanager.exe. Browse, find this executable where you made it in the folder, and then this will create itself in here. You don't have to type this. Same thing down here, it will do this for you. And it's just, it needs the folder that the executable for Fluffy Mod Manager is in. So it needs the path here, and then it needs the actual file path here. If everything's done correctly, it'll look like this, and you'll see his image pop up here. And then this is how you will run the game. You'll run Fluffy Mod Manager first. Your mods will automatically be enabled once you've enabled them, and then you'll run the game from the Mod Manager, and it will start the game. So that's how you do that there. The best way and the easiest way. Because if you just run the game directly, then you're not going to be running the Mod Manager, and the mods will not get applied. Okay, so that covers all of that. So now we'll finish this video by going into Fluffy Mod Manager, and I'll show you how the program works and how to load mods and so forth. So we're going to do that segment here. So I'm going to open it just like I would. This is how you would open it from the files. It's this file within your RE2 remake, what would you call it, root folder, and then the folder you made for the mod manager, so that's how you would execute that. But we are going to do that from my Steam thing, so right click. If you click it once, then you got to click play again to run it, or you can just right click and then click play, and it will open the mod manager. Oop, it's already running, that's why, which is fine. Close this, it's already down here, I had it open already. So this is what will open, and you're going to see your list of mods over here. They won't be toggled white yet, these are already active, and you are seeing over here what mods look like when they don't have a mod INI file in it, and no picture, because I did not want to spoil pictures of the characters we haven't seen yet in the game, so I removed purposely the screenshots from all of my mods here. So you can see here how it says affected assets, bin, texture, non-RT. So this means these are all non-RTX ray tracing mods, which will work with the non-RTX ray tracing update that I'm using, which is what we want. Like I said, no pictures to spoil anything. So what you want to do is, when you first run this, you may not even have any mods loaded yet. If you do, they won't be active. But if you are updating Fluffy Mod Manager, it may keep your mods enabled when you run the new version. Or you may just be coming back to the game after a while and you kind of want to reset things a little and make sure things work. The best thing to do is uninstall all mods, and what this does, it won't remove the mods from your hard drive, it just disables all of them. So instead of having to go down one at a time and uncheck them basically and put them in the off state like that, where it turns it off and it tells you deleted 21 files, revalidated 21 paths in the game archive, uninstalled. Instead of having to do that one at a time, it just does it all at once. So do that, and it will disable all of them, and then do reread game archives. This will just make Fluffy and everything look at the default files, and then refresh the mod list as well. So you don't have to do this every time. It's just if you're updating Fluffy Manager or coming back to the game after a while, just click on install, spam that a few times, make sure all that's off, and then spam reread game archives a few times to make it do it, and then spam refresh mod list a few times. So you're starting off at square one here. You have a custom search where you can type in the name of a mod if you want to look one up. I don't have that very many, so obviously not really necessary. You can filter mods by tags, by categories, and all that stuff. You can, say I just want to look at mods for Leon or Claire or whatever, character mods, stuff like that. Mod list will always take you back to this, and you can click all to see this list, which is how I like to look at it, or category. I just like to see them this way. Okay. Mod presets, don't really know what that does. I don't use it. Downloads, this is where you can get to the Nexus mods. This will take you right to RE2 Remake's mods on the Nexus mods and the official Resident Evil modding forums. Fluffy Mod Manager upgrades, if there is any. There isn't. RE Framework. What does it do if you click on it? Okay, I don't want to download it. I canceled that. I wouldn't get RE Framework from here either. I would get it directly from the RE Framework link that I'm providing you. Don't get it from here. And then First Natives. This is a newish program for Resident Evil games that I guess lets you modify, it lets you turn mods on or off like while the game is running, which you can't do normally. I wouldn't really recommend doing that or using it, but nothing against the modder. It may work perfectly fine, but I'd rather just turn mods on or off and then run the game fresh. Let me take a sip of drink. That is there if you want to mess with it. and then some direct mod downloads that you can get. You can, turn your character into Clementine from The Walking Dead. I think that's Kenny from TWD, The Walking Dead. Make Mr. X replace every enemy in the game. Reduce the violence. So there's a few things you can mess with again here if you want. I'm not going to be using any of these. But Fluffy does this a lot. He puts built-in mods and stuff. We'll get to options here in a minute. Choose game gives you a list of games you can pick here, which is a lot that Fluffy supports. It's not just Resident Evil games. But it's Arkanoid, Eternal Battle, Exo Primal, Final Fantasy VII Remake, Ghost Trick, Monster Hunter World, Resident Evil Revelations 1 and 2, Resident Evil 0, 1 HD, Resident Evil 2 and 3 Remake, and 4 Remake, and it also supports Resident Evil 4 HD. And it supports Resident Evil 5, 6, 7, the demo for 7, Village or Resident Evil 8, Street Fighter 6, Street Fighter 6 demo, Tekken 7, The Last of Us Part 1, Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3, and Uncharted Legacy of Thieves collection. So there's a lot of games in here. Trainer, you can't actually see it. It tries to hook into the game. Failed to start trainer, process not found. You have to run the game first, then you have to Alt-Tab, click Trainer, and then Fluffy Mod Manager will hook into the executable, and then I don't know if I guess a screen might pop up within the trainer or within the Fluffy Mod Manager that lets you set options. I'm not sure, I've never used it. And then mini games, he has these 2 mini games that you can play. That's one of them. Water Sample, and then Power Grid that you can play, Umbrella. There is a mini game you play like this in the game, and maybe it's kind of to help you get better at that game or something. And then Launch Game, this is what you would use when you've got all your mods ready to go and you're ready to play. So I'm going to show you options now. Category Assignment, so you can create explanation points, something, whatever. I guess you can create new categories to use if you want. Different tags. Define game info. So here it knows we're messing with this game. And it shows you the information here that it's going by. You can click Install Path and change or verify that it's looking for the game in the right place, and it is. But usually it knows to do that by default anyway. Hide in game list. So if you don't want to see it in the list of games that Fluffy can do mod managing for, then you can say yes. By default, though, it should find the game if it's installed in Steam and all that. But if you have a problem with you launch game and it doesn't find the executable and launch it, then come into Options, click on Define Game Info, and then check your install path. This is really helpful and handy too, just like going to Downloads is to get to these modding sites. You can open the modding folder for Fluffy Mod Manager directly. So if you click this, it takes you right to where you're supposed to put your mods for downloading them from the Nexus, as well as it will open the game folder directly. So your root folder here, where your executable for the game is. So don't forget these are here. It's really handy. If you're like, oh, I want to, look at a mod or delete a mod that I don't want anymore, just go into Options and click Mods folder, and there you go. Advanced options, you can get in some video options here. I leave it on full screen, which still shows you a bar up here, even in full screen mode. Window resolution, I picked 1920 by 1080, but it just still says custom, but pick your resolution you want. VSync on, limit FPS, max FPS, limit FPS without focus. So I'd recommend using these settings here. Always on top off, just to make sure it doesn't stay on top of other important folders or programs that you have running at the same time, and then you can center the window. So like if you had it in windowed mode smaller, you would click this and it would center it. But I want it like it is, so that's how I'm using my options. And you have network functions. I haven't messed with any of this. You really shouldn't need to. Recreate mod, info cache. You can change this if you're left or right-handed. I didn't mess or change any of this stuff. This is all default. You shouldn't really need to mess with any of this. Yeah, I would just leave that stuff alone. Choose game. Here's where you can pick, the game that you want to use if you're not on it, but you should be by just running it, and then it will load up. Then the trainer I already mentioned, and the mini games, and then launching the games. Okay, so the last little thing here is just enabling the mods. What you need to consider when you're turning mods on is whichever mod you turn on first takes the highest priority. So we'll use the texture pack I'm on here as an example. If you were going to use, say, the HD texture pack, but then you also had a texture mod that says it changes all of the chairs or something, whatever. Changes the way the chairs look in the game, or the way the typewriters looked or something. It makes them look better because it mods the texture. The order in which you enabled the HD texture pack as well as that mod you would need to consider, because the HD texture pack mod is modding 446 textures, and that could include something like a chair texture or a typewriter. So if you enabled the typewriter texture mod first, and then you enabled the HD texture pack, that HD typewriter texture mod would not get used, because the texture pack would be the second one that you turned on, and it would take priority at that point, and it would override the file you've already used. So in a situation like that, you would want to turn on the texture pack first, then use an individual items modification, turn that on, and let it replace the HD texture packs version, if that makes any sense. So in the case of this, I would still say, if you were using these exact mods, I would run the texture pack first. I can already tell you the character mods are going to have nothing to do with it. The Better Burger mod could be adjusted in this, but I want the Better Burger mod version. These other ones won't be. But turn this on first, and as I mentioned, this one modifies a lot of files, so when we turn it on, you're going to see it enabling them in real time, because it takes a minute. So check it, and then you'll see it installing mod of 446, and then you can see it installing each one. You just got to wait. It only takes it's not even a minute, it just takes a few seconds. Thank you to this modder too for modding all these. I think he said he took maybe not all of them. I can't say he didn't hand adjust some of them, but he did say he took a big chunk of them from Resident Evil 3, because they do share, Resident Evil games nowadays, they share textures and assets between each other. And sometimes they might use a better version, like improve it in a sequel, or use just a better asset all in all together. And so he did use some of the RE3 remake textures to make the RE2 remake textures look better, since it came after. Okay, so when it's done, it's done. And then the next thing here we'll start off with is the character. Just kind of go by most important, But with an overall texture pack like this, you need to enable it first. We'll do characters. So then we'll start with Annette. Turn her on. That took 21 files. And then Ben. That took 92. 92, or no, 64, yeah, 64 files. Skip Claire for the moment, because I want to end with her. And you got Marvin, and that's only 4. Mr. X, 10. Robert, 50. And then Sherry is 4. Okay. Now with Claire, I want to show you, actually let me uninstall because I'm going to need to reset this anyway. It's not a big deal. But some of these files, and here's one of them with this mod, you'll have a main file and an add-on file where you're applying the mod, but then you're modifying the mod further by using an add-on from the same mod. You need to enable the main source mod, the main mod first, and then apply the add-on second. And if you do that, like when you enable the main mod and you hover over the add-on, it's going to pop up in red up here in the corner, and it's going to say selected mod would overwrite files from this installed mod, characters Claire, leather pants, to the main mod. So it's telling you which ones is already using that file's mod files. In this case, it's okay because we want that to be the case. But this is indicated to let you know that when you're using different mods together that are conflicting with each other. So be aware. Know that this isn't always a bad thing, but you have to consider the mods you're enabling together and if it's going to overwrite something or make another mod not even work simply based on you using incompatible mods, because these mods do replace the same kinds of files, but it's okay in this case. So let me do this again. I got to re-enable the textures. Just make sure you enable the main mod first and then the accessory or add-on mod. And I always rename my stuff, and then I always put at the end whether it's the main or an add-on, so that way I know which order to enable them. Almost there. There you go. Okay. I'm going to do all these back on. And I did that incorrect. Let's put the main, then the boots. This basically gives me, you know, the black jeans I want instead of the default blue jeans, and the default of this is actually black leather pants, but I didn't want black leather pants. So this will apply black jeans, black belt, and boots. But I think you already get the black boots and belt from this mod anyway. But anyway, that's what you need to do. This will give me a red jacket, black jeans, and black boots and belt, which is what I want. Okay, and the last thing is just the burger and the cutscene, the classic startup screen, and then the color cube edits to get rid of the blue-green haze. So now they're all enabled and ready to go. So all you'll have to do is launch the game from here, and that's it. So that's basically all I have to say here. It was a lot. I mean, this is a pretty involved game, and it's a Resident Evil game, so the config and tech and modding videos were pretty detailed and lengthy. But I hope you got something out of it for those of you that watched all the way through them. I hope you gained some information and some insight into some things. So in the next video, we'll be getting into the gameplay segment directly. Thanks for watching and listening to all this. I appreciate it. And I will see you in the next video. Bye.